Now that we've put our funding assumptions together, let's get started with our schedule build. But before we do that, let's go back to something called the Capex. So what I'm going to do is I will just add a column here, or a row. Let me just add a row here, right? And I'm going to call this our Capex. Our Capex, right? So let me call this Capex profile so that we kind of mirror the reality of how this work, right? So in a typical project finance, at times you might not be 100% certain of the total amount needed. At times it can be capped that, 100 billion. At times it could be after you are done with the model build that you'll be able to tell them, hey, this is the total amount needed due to different terms, different agreement that you need to, different covenant that you need to build into the model. So let's assume we have a Capex. So I'll just copy this PPE. Let's happen we have PPE. We have some. Okay. Let me call this construction. So let's say this is construction cost. All right. This factory setup. And let me just list three line item. Right. I'll call this other Capex. So let's add in, these are the major three Capex that we need. All right. And based on our EPC agreements, so must make sure this total the 1 billion. Let's just, so let me sum this up for now. Enter, and let me call this total Capex. So we can also see how the depths flow into this. So let me try and divide this construction, maybe 50. Let me copy our unit here. We'll copy our unit here. So 50, or let's say this will be maybe something 30, or this is 20. So okay, so that's equal to the total funds needed, right? Then we now need other thing, which is what we are now going to call our Capex profile, right? So okay, so Capex profile. So let's call this Capex spend profile. So let's assume our construction period would be 2 years. So it will take them 2 years to build this. At times, you could be the typical project finance. You can go, the granularity of it could be monthly, times quarterly, right? And we'll just prefer yearly, but because of that timing variation, most times we usually lay it out monthly or quarterly. So let's say, let me just link this to our construction here. All right. So basically, we are saying if you're going to spend this 100 billion, maybe in year one, all you're just doing is trying to do the construction. Then in year two, you start doing the setup. So it's not as if everything happen all at once. All right. And investors, your financial also want to see, they want to be able to see that. So maybe I'll call this period one. So 1, right? 2. So since our construction is just over 2 years, so what we are trying to say is how we plan to spend that money, because that also depends on how we can draw down on it. So it's not as if you list out all your costs, everything that you need. So for 100 billion, you go to your financials and you expect them to just give you that 100 billion like that. So what happens is they create a reserve account that you can always draw down as you need it. It's not most times, it's not as if they will give you the whole funds all at once. And at times, you could also have a case where you have the whole upfront payment. So maybe some of these other series, I will discuss that. So let's say here, and put this in percent. So maybe construction, let's say most of it will be coming here, maybe 80%, while the other 20% will come in here. All right. Factory, maybe just 20, or maybe let's say 25 here, then here 75. Then other cost, other KPIs, let's just make that even. Right. So which means in the actual sense, that will be equal to this my total construction costs. So I'm even, let me work smart, log the column, multiply by what? Multiply by this spend profile, how they'll be expending the funds. All right. So I can just copy this down since I've used my self formatting. So let me remove all this decimal. Let me just remove decimal. right? So it's because of the training. It's always good so that we have the same figures. But most times we are building a typical model. It's always good you have your units in more like a 1 decimal, right? So let me sum this so that we're sure that's how we've planned to spend this is equal to the same thing. So let me just make this one a faded ash color. All right, it's just for us to check. Right. So which means in this period one, how much are they getting out of it? They get 58, and the other following period they get 43. So it depends with just the number of the period. That's how you also lay that. So maybe I should just call this year one and then year two. Or we could format it to show us that. Okay. So which means based on this, that will also drive the fund that we need. Right. So which means this period, that will be the 70%. I'm going to log the column, multiply by what? Multiply by this total capex, which I'm going to keep the row constant like this. Then I can remove the decimal point. So we have a whole number. Okay, good. Then this, and sum that up. So it must always be equal to your use of funds. By the time I sum everything up, it must give me the same thing with this. So which means this is what we need. This is what we have. All right, and based on this, that will also spell out how we are going to expend these funds. Right. So the other thing I can do, so I love simplifying my project as I'm building it. So tranche A, tranche B, tranche C. So let's see how this will come into play. So let me also copy this our year one heading here. Let's just change everything to year one. Year two, okay, year one, year two. So for this, that will be equal to, let's say they'll be getting 40%, right? So let me link that here so that I love when I build my model and it's self-explanatory and it's easy for you to also audit and see where the formulas are coming from. So this 40% multiply by the what? By the amount of debt, right? Which I'm going to keep the row constant. Enter. So drag that to the right. Let me remove the decimal. So I can copy this down and I sum it up. So which means this is how the debt would be funded, the contribution that we need from each of these financial, each of the period, right? So that's how we'll be able to draw down on the debt, not as if they are going to give us the whole thing at once. And we sum them together, you see both of them sum up to the total debts that we need. Right? Okay, so now let's get straight into the calculation.